Welcome to another episode of the State of the Bulldogs. We have Grant and Jeb tonight. Fellas, how are we doing? It's July 28th. Olympics are underway. Jeb, welcome. Grant, how are we?
What's going on? Yeah, doing good.
See you guys.
I've been enjoying playing college football 25.
There we go.
Downloaded Samford.
How many?
I'm on the third season and I'm 4-0 right now. So
How many natties do we have?
0.
Dang, you're really grinding then. You're
0 so far.
Wow. Have you played with UNC yet?
No, just went straight into Samford.
Nice.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's better man than us, yeah.
Grant, how many seasons are you into your Samford dynasty?
I'm still in my first one. I've been on the road to glory. Yeah, I've been on the road to glory kick. I'm in my senior year of road to glory right now, so I've been grinding on that. But yeah, I'm getting into dynasty this week. See, I've still only played 5 or 6 games of my Samford dynasty right now. So,
Jeb, what conference are you in?
So I was in the Sun Belt the first year.
Yeah.
And then went to the won a bowl game. I'm trying to remember what bowl it was though.
The Bahamas
Won
Bowl.
the Sun Belt, won a bowl game.
Pop-Tart Bowl?
Yeah, it was like shoot. Trying to think it. Anyway, it'll come back to me.
Yeah.
And then went 1-11 the next season. It was awful. And then
Jeb, were you playing each game? You
no,
don't have to. Okay.
I ended up simming the second season.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
And
Because
then
1-11, that's a rough stretch if you were playing, but
Hey, that's
simming
just-
makes sense.
That's just straight Heisman mode at that point, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I only found Heisman rates. So.
Oh my, glutton for punishment.
No.
So yeah, and then
So you're still in the Sun Belt.
4-0. No, I moved to the American Conference in my third season.
Who did you replace initially in the Sun Belt?
South Alabama.
Interesting. I like that pick. South Alabama does not it's just
exactly.
it just doesn't fit.
Doesn't
in
fit,
FBS
exactly.
football. So now you're in the American. I asked Grant this last time because they put your rivals as South Alabama's rivals, and I don't know who. I guess Jacksonville State or Troy is probably built in.
But now that I'm in the American, it's like, who did or I guess I just moved them over to the American, so I didn't replace the team.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Moved to Florida State to the SEC, so they'd finally shut up.
Yeah, stop complaining.
Did you edit the rosters? Do we got Michael Hires or somebody throwing the ball?
No,
or
I
is it
didn't
just
do
went
any
with
custom. No.
Yeah. I wasn't sure, Grant. So we can download your team. Does it come with the did you edit rosters?
No, I didn't edit rosters. There's roster presets, different type of rosters you want, but it doesn't say what their overall is.
Interesting.
When you're selecting them, so I selected the air. It's called air it out, basically an air raid. Or my quarterback can throw the ball 70 yards down the field, or something like that. But yeah, online, like I said last week, you can change the attributes of what they look like, but in the game, you have to only in the game can you change their name. So you kind of got to go through all that, and that's
I think what I don't like
a lot of time I didn't have. Yeah,
it's tedious.
What I don't like so far is if I end up winning in the American Conference and I just want to move Samford to the ACC or something, you can't build a better stadium than what you already have.
Yeah.
So the one I downloaded has Charlotte Stadium, and actually the end zone looks a lot like ours.
Interesting.
It does, yeah.
So I think that's why it was chosen. But Charlotte's field house looks a lot like what is it, Cooney Fieldhouse?
Yeah.
Yep.
There was another stadium I found that worked pretty well. Stanford's is cool if you as you said, Jed. If you want to pretend you've already built your program up a little bit and you've added on to the stadium, Stanford feels generic enough in that sense, and there's not a ton of markage and signage around the stadium.
Huh.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good little fit. The when you said that, Jib, it reminded me, growing up in Fort Worth, I mean, we went to every TCU game when they were in the WAC. We had season tickets to football and basketball and baseball. I mean, we were there. Cheap family entertainment. I mean, WAC. We were playing
The
Hawaii. San Jose State. I mean, some random teams.
Yeah,
but what's wild is seeing the difference in stadiums from then to now. One, it is way nicer, and two, it is way bigger.
Yeah.
It's amazing what just bumping up slowly but surely those conferences.
Well,
and I guess you can't get invited. Remember in 14 you'd get invited to the conference?
Yeah.
Or was that 13 before they come out with custom conferences?
Yeah, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure they did send those. But it's been
but
it's been 11 years. I don't remember that anymore.
It's been a minute.
Do you think we'll ever see a day where Samford makes it to the FBS?
No. I don't think we want to be in the FBS.
No.
Looking at this, whatever the settlement's called, the house settlement, or what is it called, Grant?
We'll just call it that. Yeah, the house settlement. Who cares
Something
about
like
that? Yeah.
The name.
Yeah.
Part of the settlement is if you opt into revenue sharing, then it comes with all the stipulations. Well, we're never going to opt into revenue sharing, so we're never going to be on that level, and I don't think we want to be. I think the model that we have now is kind of what we want. It promotes the school's mission, it promotes the school's brand, and that's about it, right? It's not about generating revenue as much as it is generating advertising and awareness. I could be wrong there, but
yeah, I guess I would side with the fact that just purely being, even if you're in like the American or the Sun Belt, like just being in the FBS gets you more time in front of people. So
it does, but it's a huge investment, and teams. The G5 is already getting partitioned out basically into its own little segment. So FCS is now kind of the new. If you think of Division I within 3 divisions, we're now D3. We were D2, now we're D3. Group of 5 is D2, and Power 5 is D1. So it's already different from that level. I just
we need relegation.
Considering how hard it is for App State to survive.
There we go. Yeah.
We can talk about relegation though.
Hey, we need promotion, relegation. Get that out of there. Yeah.
You're out,
Yeah.
No, I'm all for it. That would be so. Everybody's tuning in to the South Alabama Kennesaw State game. No one has seen them all season, but on December 5th, we're all tuning in for that loser matchup to see who's getting sent down to the SoCon, and then
it's 3-8. It's 3-8 versus 3-8. Yeah, 3-8 versus 3-8 live on ESPN Friday night. Be like, oh yeah, loser goes down, winner stays.
I think it's a great model, and if you want to talk about growth, like they should definitely think about that.
It is, but it's never going to happen because everyone in power right now is like, if you're a Vanderbilt or you're an NC State, you're never going to willingly say, "Oh yes."
Oh, that was the other team. I moved Vanderbilt to the ACC.
Heck yes. It fits with the nautical theme too. Anchor down, that just is more of a coastal vibe to begin with.
Yeah.
But like those schools are never going to willingly cede that control. So it sounds awesome. It would be awesome. It ain't gonna happen.
He'll just wait till a conference decides to kick a team out because they weren't fulfilling whatever requirement. Wait till we get to that point. We're like, we can't. You don't provide as much value as you have been in the past or need to. See, we'll replace you with whoever. But
Q Vanderbilt. All right, let's get to the Olympics real quick before we. Today or tonight, we're going to talk about the SoCon Preseason Poll, which was released during media days last week, and then kind of going through the non-conference schedules. But the Olympics are underway. The opening ceremony was not controversial at all, and was very very just warm and welcoming to all people.
Super plain, super simple. It's like
super plain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Glad to see that there have not been any swimming events in the Sen. What was it? The Mike Tirico said that it's a day-by-day decision. If they had gone that day, there was too much E. coli.
Oh yeah. River? Yeah, with the mayor and the French mayor in the Seine River, or Seine River, it's fine. Like I can swim in it fine, and she's okay. But yeah, that's all polluted. They don't know whether they're gonna hold that event or not. But yeah, that was awesome. She's like, it's completely fine. I'll go in the water. Fine. Look, I'm okay. It's like, I don't think we're getting in this right now. So
yeah, I wouldn't drink the water.
No.
But Grant, Jeb, favorite Olympic sports. What are we watching this summer?
Definitely swimming for me. grew up swimming competitively. It's got a special place in my heart. So
Yeah, the swimming does get hype, especially like the relay races. Those are like the main ones. They had the men's 4x200 relay last night, Saturday night. That was awesome. And then watching basketball, then obscure sports, and maybe some table tennis and badminton. I just like watching those. I like watching those people go at it as Sam looks at me disapprovingly. But yeah, we got that going on. And then basketball, obviously, LeBron James put up 19 points, 39 years old, just carrying the squad. He and KD this morning. So,
Grant, this is a very hot take, and I know it's wrong.
Yes.
But I'm going to stand by it. Table tennis should not be an Olympic sport. I think
awesome.
It was only put in there because China bribed their way for it to be put in there 30, 40 years ago because it's the only sport they could win gold in. They have since surpassed that limit, and now they compete in pretty much any sport they want to. So I think we should just do away with it. And badminton, I watched some of that this morning. One of the dumbest sports I've ever seen.
That's sick. I don't know what you're talking about. It's sick.
No. I watched women's mountain biking. No.
Here you go.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
Handball.
Yeah. Okay, that is sick. Yeah, I do like. It's amazing.
We played handball in PE and like middle school. It was so fun, and it's really fun to watch. So.
No, handball is fun to watch.
Yep.
What's not as fun to watch is field hockey. Hard sport, very difficult sport.
Yeah,
but a little bit like, okay, it's not hockey, it's not lacrosse, it's not soccer. Anyway, so swimming. Grant, you named basically every sport: basketball, badminton.
I didn't mention beach volleyball, indoor volleyball, fencing. Didn't mention that.
Now I'm going to be tuning into the fencing. Also, where can if anyone knows of a great schedule, please send it to me, because I've yet to be able to find a schedule where I can just see all of the gymnastics. Apparently there's different kinds of gymnastics. I don't know what kind. I just want to watch Simone Biles. Like,
do you have Peacock? Do you subscribe to Peacock?
No.
Well, they just increased their price last week, obviously, first day of the Open. Like, we're increasing our prices. Yeah, just in time for the Olympics. Everyone was like, fine, whatever. But yeah, they have over there, it's called Gold Zone. It's basically Red Zone. They took Scott Hansen and Andrew Siciliano, who did the DirecTV Red Zone. And basically, they just took those two guys and circled them in, rotating the host. It's basically just like a Red Zone where they jump around to all the different sports like that. So if you don't know what to watch, if you don't know what to watch, just let them do the work for you, like we do on Sundays in the fall.
Real quick, Scott or Andrew, which one's y'all's favorite?
We had DirecTV growing up, so I watch more Andrew, but probably have to go with Andrew. But Scott's still good too. So
Jeb?
Andrew.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, you can just laugh in his ears. But all right, let's move on to the SoCon Preseason Poll. Media Day was this past week in Greenville, and did they release a media poll? I did not see one. If they did, they have a coaches poll, and they have the preseason teams. But lo and behold, Samford is 5th, and Grant has it pulled up for us. Chattanooga came in first, not overwhelmingly, kind of a split between Chattanooga and Furman. Furman in second. Western's in third. Then Mercer. Mercer was a little bit of a surprise. We're still kind of digging in and trying to figure out what is driving some of these opinions. It's pretty clear Chattanooga, they got the line coming back. They have the best receiver in the conference. Furman has basically that defense coming back. Western has the quarterback. We don't know what Mercer has. Samford was 5th. Also, we are to be determined. ETSU 6th, the VMI 7th, Wofford 8th, Citadel 9th. What were some of y'all's initial thoughts when you saw the poll?
I think the SoCon media.
This was the coaches poll.
Like any media, but SoCon media tends to just really like stuck up and brown nose like Chattanooga and Furman all the time.
They do.
That might be a hot take, but I don't think it is. Like, we've been doing this for a few years now. Like we just see the media is like, oh, it's Furman, oh, it's Chattanooga, and we were at the media days last year, and it was like almost like it was just like everyone cared about Furman. Everyone talked to
Yeah,
Furman. They
it
didn't.
was a
They
Furman preseason show.
So it was like, anyway. So this doesn't surprise me, at least from the media's 1 and 2 spot. They're kind of like Chattanooga again. Like they're gonna have a good passing attack this year. They've got a good defense. Furman might have the best defense in the league. Western Carolina's gonna have a good quarterback. And Mercer and Samford were kind of up in the air. So based on that, it kind of makes sense. But I do disagree with these teams had a lot of players leave last year. Chattanooga did, Furman did. So we'll see how that shakes out for them. But
yeah, as I said, we're still kind of going through and looking at the teams. One thing, Jeb, as you just mentioned, the turnover seemed high at Furman and Western. Not as much at Chattanooga. But what's interesting is for Chattanooga, at least, I haven't looked this closely at Furman yet. Chattanooga didn't replace a lot of the people with transfers. A lot of the incoming guys were true freshman recruits from high school. A smattering of transfers, not too many. Western, it looked like the same way, which was more concerning because that's kind of it's a younger program under Kerwin Bell. Chattanooga is a little bit more established. You trust that recruiting pipeline a little bit more. Interesting that the transfer activity was less, especially when we cover Samford, which is transfer portal bonanza every year. My goodness. So that'll be interesting as I said, as we dig in a little more, that trend might start appearing with a few other teams. We'll see. Grant, what did you think?
I think you mentioned this on Twitter, but I thought Mercer being fourth was kind of interesting. They returned 12 starters. They had 6 on the preseason all-SoCon team. They have a new coach coming in. Ty James, a wide receiver, is gone. He's with the Vikings right now. So they did lose a couple key pieces, but still they do return a couple linebackers, a DB, and then some other offensive linemen. So it was kind of cool kind of odd to see them up there in fourth, like you said, with the new coach and everything. But really, other than that, have no major gripes other than that one.
The new coach is what I was surprised with because I get that they were talented last year, and obviously losing Ty James, who's a complete stud, and they lost their other receiver, 2 studs. That's not great, right? And their quarterback wasn't that good.
Yeah, he was okay.
Mercer will be probably, as I say again, the most interesting team to kind of dig in with because they got so much love at Media Day. But we'll see. Western, I mean, look, that made sense. Furman makes sense. All I hear from the Furman camp is we lost everybody. We're going to be good, but I don't know why everybody's loving us so much. I think they're just trying to temper expectations. And try to promote that underdog mentality a little bit. Chattanooga looks to be the clear-cut favorite. That made sense with the quarterback returning, best receiver in the conference, one of the best in the nation, best offensive line coming back, 4 to 5 starters. And then the presumptive for the 4th straight year, defensive preseason player of the year, who goes on to win it for UTC. Last year was Jay Person, I think, for back-to-back years. And then this year it's Martin Taylor. So UTC just bringing the heat on the D line year after year. That trend will certainly continue, at least from what we know at this point.
Yeah, and who knows? Samford at 5th might be a good spot for them because in 2022 they were picked to finish 6th. They ended up winning the league. So
that's
kind
right,
of
Grant.
Hitting that familiarity we talked about last year of like being the hunted versus the hunter type mentality. Maybe we kind of fill in that role a little bit more, kind of being looked over and underlooked maybe coming in.
Yeah, it just shows you like how much we don't know going in each season, and certainly the media's the media, poll, like, it helps. Like, it's something we can talk about before the season because we don't really have anything else to talk about. But we don't really know. I was looking through the teams yesterday, and I was like, there's a lot of stuff up in the air. A lot of guys need to win position. Win the starting room, and you've got new guys coming into these programs, and so we'll see how it shakes out during the season. But
yeah, and one of the few leagues that has a full round robin schedule. Everybody plays everybody. Teams, like you said, roster wise change year to year, especially in this era. It's just a matter of which guys come back, which guys go off, and stuff like that. So yeah, it is more volatile, especially in this conference where it seems like a lot of the teams are kind of grouped together, kind of the same, with a couple stragglers at the bottom, but pretty much everybody from 1 to 6 basically could find their way winning the league at one point.
Yeah, Citadel was the clear bottom. VA is maybe getting slept on. We'll see. But Jed, do you remember last year? We were sitting there at the Samford table. Media poll drops. Coaches poll drops. And we're picked second behind Furman. And what was interesting about the reaction by the team in the moment, I was with it. They felt a little disrespected. Hey, we should have been number 1. But looking back on how the season played out, that mindset probably wasn't the right one, in the sense that we should have been number 1, therefore we are upset, and that's going to drive us. It's a little too much there's a little too much entitlement in that opinion. You know what I mean? I think it's much better to be actually disrespected. 5th is we're on the bottom half of the conference, right? That's a much better spot to be if you really want to use rankings to get a chip on the shoulder.
Sam, I never thought I'd hear you channel your inner Colin Cowherd, but you just did.
I was talking to a guy last year. He sells.
But no, I completely agree with you, Sam. Like, you know how I always channel my Cowherd.
You are Cowherd Jr.
But that's what it's all about the mental game. Sometimes, like, it's does this team have a chip on their shoulder, especially in college sports?
It's funny. In high school, I don't know if you all did this, but in high school, I just assume every team in America does this, but you have a theme for the year, right? You maybe make a little T-shirt, but you put it on the bulletin board in the locker room. Bulletin board. You put it on the whiteboard. What is this? You put it on the whiteboard. And I really think when I was in high school, I thought it was pretty silly. I was like, I don't care what the theme is. I just want to go out there and win every single game. I don't care who it is, what it is. We did not win. We were not close to winning every single game, ever. But thinking about it the preseason mindset and coming up with a theme to build early momentum around, I think is pretty key. And as you said, Grant, we started 6th in the magical run of 22. And a lot of that has to do with, hey, we got a bunch of new people. We're all going to come together because everybody's counting us out. Last year, we had a bunch of new people, and we didn't really come together because we were kind of already anointed as one of the top teams in the conference, and we go out there and lay an egg. So we'll see. I think it bodes well. But at the same time, there is that chance of reality where, there's a reason Citadel is picked at the bottom for the past few years, as they are the worst. So these polls are not entirely inaccurate, unfortunately.
Yeah. I did want to play one thing Hatcher said from his basically podcast interview that they did with all the coaches, where they asked him if he thought he had a team that could win a championship this year. And I thought it was just interesting what he had to say on that front. So I'll play that for you.
Let's hear it.
Do you feel as though you have a team that can be a championship squad? I do. And, I've been very fortunate to coach some championship teams throughout my career. I think we have the makings of it. We have a lot of guys that have a bad case of the wants. They want to do it. Now, are we going to work hard enough to make that happen? Time will tell over the course of the next 4 or 5 weeks. But some pieces have to fall in place. You got to get some lucky bounces and a few good calls go your way along the way to be a championship football team. Hopefully, like I said earlier, we'll have a good start, and we'll put ourselves in a position to be the SoCon champions late there in October and early November.
We're toast. That is not a good omen, Grant. What? No, I don't like that. The case of the wants. It's a case of the needs. We need to win. That's what you want to have, the case of the needs. Because guess what? When hardship hits and adversity hits, if you have the case of the wants, you just don't. I don't actually want it anymore. It's fine. I'll just take the L. I don't want it. But if it's something you need, you overcome it. You drive through. You push because you have to have it. What a case of the wants, and then a few lucky bounces. You think Georgia had a few lucky bounces and a few good calls on their way to back-to-back national titles? No. If you have the best team, you should win.
That's
so
a little bit of a different scale comparing Samford to the best team in the country the last 3 years.
I took it to the extreme to prove the point, but
there's your cow herding. I just thought it was interesting him the first part. Well, you could say what else he's supposed to say, but he did have the answer. But I do think that we have a team that can actually win a championship and compete, other than those platitudes that you mentioned. He answered. He said in the rest of his answer, but that first part was okay, maybe we do have a team, but again, if you look on the other side behind my argument, you can just say that's what he's supposed to say. But still, I thought it was interesting that he actually said that part out loud.
Here's how I take it. He's saying we have a team that, we have the pieces in place to be a championship team. We have that in us. We're capable of it. And they have the bad case of the wants, but I need them to do more than just want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's how I took it. I don't think maybe he executed it as well as we wanted to, but
a case of the wants.
You have to.
It's a good start.
You do have to want to win. If you don't want to win, then it's not going to work, right?
If you don't want to win, you're not playing college football like that.
I think that's maybe what he's getting at.
There's too much work.
He's getting at. He's hey, these guys they want it. But I don't know. It's different because this team, we don't have a whole lot of guys on the team that have won a SoCon championship anymore.
Yeah, we have a few guys, but not.
When you have guys that cycle out, and once you've already done it, you'll either have people that are just absolute dogs that are I want to win every year, and you might have people that are they kind of take it for granted because you already reached that threshold last year.
Yeah,
which is kind of what happened to this team last year. We were just talking about it, right? Got second in the preseason coaches poll. Got a little bit, was a little bit taken aside by that, and then ended up not performing the entire year, even though we had one of the best offenses in the league.
Yep.
Just couldn't win games. So hopefully now that we've got a fresh team, maybe coach is right. I don't know, but.
Well, his response did not instill a ton of confidence.
Leave it to us then to tell us that
he better always say, "Oh yeah, right." Right, Jeb. We knock on the Citadel coach for disparaging his team, and there's a balance. He was not in the right there. But Hatcher better always say we have a championship team. We're in the state of Alabama. All right, we are bordered by Mississippi and Georgia. We have a football-rich recruiting territory. If we can't find enough guys to be competitive and have a championship team, at least on a potential championship team on paper, then you need a new head coach. Because my goodness, Samford is not Harvard. We don't have a 5% acceptance rate. It's not that hard to get in. It's a challenging school, but it's not that hard to survive, to get C's. We should be able to get good enough players.
We should be dominating the SoCon every year.
If they allowed alcohol on campus, Jeb, we would be dominating the SoCon each year, but they are not. So in recruiting rankings, our campus lifestyle is a C-. Let's get to the non-conference.
That's
on that. All right.
There we go. Another extreme again. We just took it to another level. There we go.
That is one thing that I never thought I'd be talking about on this podcast.
Yeah.
It would impact the performance of a school, of a team. But
It's
I don't
true.
know. I guess it's
true. I'm pretty sure we're the only school that doesn't allow drinking in our conference.
Coming up next week, here's the schools that aren't dry campuses that win football games. Next week on the State of the Bulldogs podcast, next Wednesday.
Let's check in on the BYU football program. Where is that right now? Yeah, that's what I thought. So, non-conference schedules. We talked about ours last week. We have Florida, West Georgia, Alabama State, Tennessee Tech. Adding a little color to that, I put what each team was selected in the preseason rankings for their conference to give us some kind of gauge. So we knew West Georgia was going to be the bottom of the barrel coming up from D2. They're picked last in the UAC, the cobbled together super conference, size-wise, not necessarily talent-wise. That conference is surely going to grow. It's kind of like designed to grow. This is the first year, Grant, of its iteration, or second year?
Second year. West Georgia's first year. The conference as a whole second year because Kennesaw, or maybe not Kennesaw, but yeah, it was a new conference this past year.
Okay. Alabama State was picked to win the SWAC. That's our most challenging. The SWAC is always a few rungs beneath the SoCon, but still, Alabama State preseason number 1 in that conference is our hardest on paper non-conference game in that sense, because Tennessee Tech was picked 7th in the OVC, and the OVC is also not a good football conference. Moving on to UTC, challenging slate with 2 money games, Tennessee and Georgia State. They have Portland State coming in from the Big Sky, who's picked to finish 10th in that conference, and Austin Peay on the road, which is a rematch of last year's first-round playoff game where they won by 3 or 4 points. So pretty tight game. Austin Peay was picked 5th in the UAC, so a different Austin Peay team than last year's team. Should be 2 dubs for the Monks. I'll kind of run through these and we can comment. We can come back. So Furman plays Ole Miss as their money game. They have Charleston Southern, who's 6th in the OVC. Stetson, who's in the Pioneer, who has not released their conference rankings yet. And then they travel to William & Mary. It seems like William & Mary is doing a little SoCon tour this year because there's 3 or 4 SoCon teams playing them. So they travel to William & Mary, who's picked 4th in the CAA. Pretty good non-conference for Furman there. Definitely Stetson's probably the lone easy win, but should be decent games-ish, right? Western Carolina, probably the hardest non-conference schedule this year. They got NC State, and then they play Campbell, their easy win, 11th in the CAA. Then they go to Elon, 6th, a former SoCon brother. They go at Montana, number 1 in the Big Sky. Yeah, that should be awesome.
That's provocative, yeah.
Any game right there. I hope some Western fans make it up. It would be awesome if Samford scheduled the game up there. Great vacation. A little September getaway in Montana. Is it already snowing up there by then?
I just know I'd rather go in September and not December.
Yeah.
Depends on the year.
Facts.
Yeah.
You might get an early snow.
Okay. Mercer's playing Alabama. Interesting.
That is $600,000 that Bama's paying Mercer to go at it.
Yep.
More money out of state, not in state. Oh, anyway, continue.
Governor Ivey, where are you? They have Presbyterian, who is in the Pioneer Conference.
That's my team.
They're terrible. Bethune Cookman is picked to finish 5th in the SWAC. Terrible. Princeton, they're in the Ivy. TBD. We'll see. So a pretty easy non-conference for Mercer, trying to pick up those wins because they're going to need them. My gosh. ETSU. They have App State. They also play a Division II team. University of Virginia Wise. Never heard of them. However, they have.
Is it like the actual Wise version of UVA?
It's the honors college. It's the honors
there
college.
you go. Yeah, there you go.
They focus on wisdom.
Yeah, they're smart to schedule this game. Yeah.
But in ETSU's defense, they have the second hardest or hardest, depending on, we'll see how it shakes out, non-conference game where they have North Dakota State coming into town, who's picked second in the Missouri Valley. And then traveling to Elon, who, as I said, was sixth in the CAA. VMI has Georgia Tech. They go to William & Mary, all right? They have Bucknell coming in, who's seventh in the Patriot. So that should be a competitive game. Last year, that was a very competitive game. Or was it I think it was Bucknell. It might have been a different team. I'm pretty sure it's Bucknell.
Yeah, it was Bucknell.
Which had the crazy finish. That's when I fell in love with the Rocco. Norfolk State, who's picked to finish fifth in the MEAC, should be a dub. Let's hope that the bottom of the SoCon is better than the bottom of the MEAC, but we'll see. Wofford is playing USC this year. They are traveling to Gardner-Webb, who's picked to finish fifth in the OVC, to Richmond, second in the CAA, and then William & Mary. So a tough, very challenging slate for the Terriers. William & Mary plays Wofford, VMI, and Furman. Like I said, the SoCon tour for the tribe.
I've also found the one opponent that I will root for Wofford against, and that is USC.
Yeah.
I've been waiting to find one, and I have found one. USC. Go Wofford.
Granted, it is South Carolina.
Oh, that's not okay. That's not the same.
It is USC. It is
USC.
That's settled.
No, that's misleading. That's misleading. You just made me look bad. It's not USC. It's not. It's not the.
This is like the UT.
It's South Carolina.
This is like the UT debate. Can we just accept that there can be two?
Yes, but we can also accept that the OGs should be given preferential treatment. The fact that the University of Tennessee existed before the state of Texas, and the fact that South Carolina was a 13th original colony. You're telling me a private school in Los Angeles is going to get the name over that school? I'm not saying you, Jim. I'm just saying it in general.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So go
get call it USC here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not right. But I can't believe I'm staying. How my opinion has changed in the last 60 seconds. I can't believe this turn. I can't believe this has turned around on me like this.
30% of the population lives west of the Mississippi.
Yeah, and that's the percent of the population we could probably lose in this country. All right, so we have Citadel Clemson. Citadel also goes
on that, but I'm close.
It sounds right.
Yeah, it sounded great. I'm just gonna roll with it. Yeah.
Citadel travels to Charleston Southern, who's finished sixth in the OVC. These are all L's except for the last one, who's sixth in the OVC. South Carolina State, who's fourth in the MEAC. That's going to be the MEAC's lone victor of the SoCon this year. And then North Greenville, not to be confused with Furman, but North Greenville. It's a real school, apparently. They play football.
Over under 2 wins combined between VMI and Citadel.
Oh, over.
Over? Okay.
Oh, well over, yeah.
Okay.
I believe in VMI.
Okay.
All right, guys. So I just ran through that pretty fast. Any games really piqued the interest? Obviously, that Montana Western game, but what other games stuck out?
Before we get there,
yeah.
As of 2019, the U.S. Census Bureau estimated that out of the total U.S. population of approximately 227 million, about 103 million residents, or about 31.5% of the U.S. population, lived in the Old West, which is defined as the U.S. Census Bureau as the region west of the Mississippi River.
Wow, look at that, Jeb. Look at that. If we could applaud.
Yeah, please clap for Jeb. Please clap.
Fact checking myself.
That was an impressive stat right there.
Here's what I have to say about the out of conference schedules.
Yeah.
I love that we're playing Florida, but it seems like we just flip between Florida, Auburn, and Mississippi State. That's all we can get? We can't do anything else?
We might have to change coming in 2026 if the SEC goes to 9 conference games and they eliminate the FCS games. So we might have to lean more Big 12 if we had to do that.
I just feel like there's better publicity moves that Samford could be making in terms of their scheduling out of conference than these 4 teams. Florida, sure, you're going to get the national television there. But West Georgia, Alabama State, and Tennessee Tech. Like,
oh yeah, the FCS teams.
I just don't understand why we can't go schedule like
Maine, that'd be sweet.
yeah, like just like
Travel
go
budget.
Yale, go schedule Yale or Harvard or
There's no budget.
There's a travel. There's a travel budget. Yeah.
What about like Montana?
We spray paint our grass. There cannot be a budget.
No, there's a travel budget that they can't.
Like Montana State or Montana.
Yeah, it would be sick. I mean, maybe
Like
not Montana State.
Yeah, like
they're
or
they
like,
whack.
even
They
if
whack
it was
some.
like McNeese, yeah,
Or
TCU might be the farthest west we've gone.
that's
I just
that was whenever that
what I
was.
see here is
Early
I feel like
2010s.
we're just folding our cards every time and just being like, we'll stay here and like play that team from somewhere in Alabama that no one's heard of, like, or we'll play Tennessee Tech or some. And it's like we can do, or some team in Georgia. It's like we're staying in our own neighborhood. It's like
the UT Martin was nice having them last year because they were top 25 team.
Yeah, that turned out well.
Yeah, it turned out well. But I hear you, Jeb. I mean, because you go through these and some of our fellow SoCon members picked up challenging non-conference. I think, look, if we're going to do a stupid basketball scheduling alliance with the ASUN, I think we should talk with the CAA and have a little scheduling alliance there because, one, it'd make us look good because for whatever reason, the CAA has some, I don't know, some magic little juju going on in the national media where they're propped up a little bit higher than they should be. And so racking up a few wins against that conference only helps come tournament time. And we get to play some of these teams that used to be in the SoCon or could be in the future.
Like some of the Patriot teams or like some of the
and they're regional
league teams.
To your point, Grant, they're all regional.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and in 2025 we next year we host West Georgia, go to Central Arkansas, which we've been there before, and then go to Austin P. Those are the 3 non-conference games we have scheduled for 25.
Austin P is hit or miss. Sometimes they're actually good. Sometimes they're terrible. Central Arkansas, the Bears or the Grizzlies, what are they? The Black Bears?
Bears, yeah. And we did have Incarnate Word on the schedule, but that contract's been bought out. So that was going to be a game in 25. So we still have an open slot.
That's a good one.
We still have an open slot for 25, which would probably be which we had to hold open, which was said earlier the SEC.
But
schedule we don't know. But
like Bucknell or Colgate or like
Colgate would be fun. Bucknell is a waste of money. They suck.
Georgetown.
But the only reason VMI is playing all those cats is because they're all up north. I think there's plenty of teams within the Virginias or the Carolinas that are better than Alabama State.
I'm sure Martin Newton's listening to us right now, and he's like, "These guys don't know what they're talking about."
Martin is probably listening.
Travel budget.
Yeah, I get it.
He's just saying travel budget the whole time.
Travel budget, like I understand.
I don't get it, Grant. I was looking at playing D3 football, and one of the recruiting pitches was, "Hey, we get to fly to 2 games each year," and one was Chicago and one was LA, and that's a D3 program who's flying across the country twice in the season. Travel budget.
Well, if there's not any teams close to you, you kind of do have to go farther.
Yeah, the conference was spread out. I mean, it was Rhodes College, so you had in San Antonio, all the way down in San Antonio, and then here there are realities.
And we need at least one bye game, like everybody does to us. So that's what Alabama State would be that one. So,
that's our bye game.
Yeah.
Interesting. Not Tennessee Tech.
It could be. That's a good point. I think about that. But yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Either one of those
back
two.
to the question. I like that side trail, but back to the question. Any of these games stick out to you?
ETSU North Dakota State, that could be kind of fun. I know ETSU's got a first year coach coming in. North Dakota State, they're in Colorado week 1. They host somebody week 2, and then they go to ETSU week 3. That's kind of
that's right. They have that Colorado game, dude. Dion's about to get the truth from the Bison.
That's kind of an interesting conference schedule the way they got that worked out. So yeah, other than that Western Montana game, ETSU North Dakota State would be the other one probably.
Yeah, Jed.
I think ETSU has the best like out of conference schedule. Like they're playing App State, playing North Dakota State, Elon, like former SoCon school, could be
Yeah,
a
they have
great
a fun
game.
slate.
But I mean, UVA wise, give me the best game you've seen all season.
They better hope it's not the best game you've seen all
Yeah.
season.
Oh, look, like Western Carolina too. They're playing Elon as well, but they've
Yeah.
got Montana and NC State. Western Carolina, Western Carolina is going to be one of the best teams in the SoCon this season, I think. And I'm not saying that they're going to upset NC State, but like they could play well against the NC State, so it might be a fun game.
That's fair. Of all of the money games, the Western NC State game and that's about
I'm
it.
not that positive on like NC State's strength this year, but
Well, we can assume that they're probably
Yeah.
not good.
okay, Oklahoma guys.
That's a safe assumption. They can prove us wrong, but we can assume that they are not good.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is there a SoCon team what buy game for some SoCon team do you think they could pick off of then going somewhere? If there is one.
If ETSU was good, App State, but they're not, and App State is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
This year there's not one.
I think it could be Western Carolina and NC State, if anything.
Yeah, I agree. Of all the ones, that's got to be the most likely. Or Chattanooga, Georgia State. So Georgia State always is pretty decent. But if Chattanooga really, they played Alabama. They only gave up 2 tackles for loss against Alabama. Like, that's amazing, right? So if that offensive line plays as well, if you have an offensive line that dominant, you have a shot against anybody. So the Georgia State UTC game is probably more likely than Western NC State, but maybe not much. The lines will be interesting when those come out. I'd love to see the difference there. I'm looking forward to the 3 William and Mary. Like, of all the data points for the committee to look to at the end of the season, the fact that you have Furman, who's a SoCon contender, going to William and Mary, that's going to be huge, considering that you're going to be able to compare their games to VMI and Wofford. Outside of the head-to-heads, assuming Furman beats both of them.
Or Western Carolina playing Georgia Tech.
Wait, say that again.
So I know VMI is playing Georgia Tech, but if it was like Western Carolina playing Georgia Tech or Furman playing Georgia Tech, it might be
Georgia
sneaky.
Tech. Yeah.
Right.
Now, I'm a believer in the rebuild going on down there in Atlanta. Okay, I'm jumping on the jacket bandwagon. The Georgia game last year made me a believer in what's happening. They made a fool out of Miami. So the Rambling Wreck, I think I agree with you, Jeb, but there's a chance that Georgia Tech might be actually pretty good.
Here's another good one I like, though. Wofford at Richmond.
Yeah.
Go Spiders.
Go Spiders.
Yeah.
That was the first FCS national title I ever saw was Richmond versus Delaware. Joe Flacco leading the way.
Was not elite then.
Or I might be confusing that with the Villanova Richmond game. Who did Joe Flacco play in that game? No, it might have been Richmond.
Joe Flacco went to Delaware.
Right. Who did he play in the Natty? That was like 2009, 2008.
Well, while we're looking at that up, Virginia-wise, the last 2 years, 2-9. So, yikes, that could be ugly.
Yeah, Coach Lamb better get a dub. That would be no bueno if they walked out of there with an L.
2007, they played Appalachian State in the final. Delaware did.
So it's Delaware, App State, and then Villanova, Richmond.
Yeah.
I guess the next year. And then the game moved to Frisco, I think, in 09 or 10.
07 was the year App State beat Michigan. So they beat Michigan and then went on to win the title. That's ridiculous.
And that was in their dynasty run, 3rd or 4th straight that year.
Shout out our Armani Edwards quarterback.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, outside of the William and Mary, I guess the Elon. So we got a couple of teams playing Elon as Western and ETSU. I don't know. I love when we have common opponents. Like in basketball, we had Belmont, right? We were sharing Belmont with who was it? Furman and maybe just Furman. But I think it was 3. But okay, maybe just Furman. It's always just fun because those are occurring usually before we play. Now, granted, some of these are sprinkled in randomly in the middle of the season, but I like seeing these because it gives us a little bit of a better barometer before we hit conference play of how good everybody really is. All right, well, do y'all have anything else you wanted to add? We got your power rankings article dropping sometime this week.
Yes.
So that'll be fun to just shred. I hope everybody looks at it, reads a comment, or leaves a comment, and just. No, I'm joking, Joe. I'm sure it'll be great. I'm sure you've predicted the future. We're gonna start calling you Nostradamus.
Yeah. Let me turn the comments on real quick, and then yeah. I'm gonna try it. Oh, by the time this is out, I'm gonna have that out too. So I'm planning to have that out this week.
Citadel being number 1 in my power rankings is pretty sweet.
That's why we need to leave the comments open. Yeah.
They will be upsetting Clemson.
K Klubnik ain't it. It's Citadel and Marie Strait, and I got to take down K Klubnik. And
I love it.
The only thing like I'm taking away from the last few years of our out of season, out of conference scheduling is that we need to schedule better teams. Like that's it. We get that one game against Auburn or Florida or Mississippi State, whoever, and it's like, cool. We just got our pants pulled down in front of everybody. Like,
but we made some cash.
Yeah, except for that one year was the Florida game was sick, where Montreal Washington just had a field day. The wide receiver from Stanford.
That's right. Yeah.
Actually, Grant, can you play that video for us, or no? Can we not do that on the?
Maybe I could find. I could
get
a
wide receiver from Stanford. Also, Montreal Washington is on the Kansas City Chiefs now.
Yep,
he is.
So he might actually make the team this year. Keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, he was on the practice squad a lot last year, but a Chiefs need. God, they need some receivers, so I'm sure he could find his way on the roster. Yeah.
Maybe he'll take the Mecole Hardman role or something.
All right. Well, next week we will continue talking about preseason. At some point, we'll have our traditional preseason offense preview and preseason defense preview. We're obviously going to wait on the offensive one until we learn who the starting quarterback is, which better be before kick against West Georgia. At the moment, we can assume it's Quincy, and then we'll just kind of work from there. But that's kind of what to expect. We have a potential special guest we're working on, which will be a very unique perspective in the coming week. To look forward to that. But otherwise, State of the Bulldogs is out, and we will catch you all next week.